Welcome to Exotic Markets. I'm going to give you a full walkthrough of the protocol so that you understand how to trade markets built around anything. Exotic Markets is a fully decentralized platform built for the community where anyone can trade or create markets with any market question that they decide, as long as it is legitimate, can be backed up with a data feed, and fits into one of the current categories. As long as you can put up the bond for creating the market and you can come up with a legitimate market in question, then you can create it and anyone can trade it. So, Exotic Markets is pretty incredible, and it's actually really simple and easy to use. I'll walk you through the whole process, both of navigating the site and finding markets, and then trading the two different types of markets. There's fixed and open market types. I'll explain the difference once we get to them. And then I will show you the process of both positioning, once positioning ends and a market is resolved, and then how community members can dispute market, whether that's disputing the market itself or disputing a specific resolution. Finally, we'll show you the process to come back and claim a winning position. And then I'll go through the whole process of creating a market, because again, anyone can create markets built around anything they want as long as it meets the guidelines listed for marketing on Exotic Markets, and anyone can trade it. So let's get into it. I'll go through all the parts of the homepage here. The first thing you'll see, this is the main markets listed. And there are a few options above so that you can kind of sort through and search and find the markets you're looking for. If you click here, you'll see the filters available. So these are all the different filters of markets you can view. Active is going to show you everything that's currently trading. Pending resolution is going to show you markets that are no longer tradable but have not yet been resolved or completed. So whatever is the main list for a market to end has not yet happened. I'll show you what that looks like. There's also the ability to view markets that have been recently resolved. This is interesting if you want to dispute any resolutions or just double check. Finally, also there's markets that are resolved fully, and then markets that have been canceled. Markets, of course, can get paused, so they would be listed here. Markets can be in dispute, and I'll show you that. And then finally, you can see markets that you hold positions for. Claimable is markets that you hold positions for and you've actually won, so you can come back and claim winnings for that. And then there's also a handy without position filter, so you can see any markets where you currently aren't holding a position. And then for those main filters, there's also tabs here. So again, active is something you want to go back to just to see all the current markets that are trading. You can click here to see my positions. So with the wallet I'm logged into here, I'm not currently holding any positions, but I'll buy a few to show you the process. And then of course, here's claimable. So if I had won a market, but had not yet come back and claimed my winnings, it would show up here. So back on active, I'm seeing everything tradable again. I can also go through and filter now by types. So fixed and open, like I said. And again, I'll show you what the difference is between those two when we pull up the individual markets. There's also tags. So these are the categories that have been approved by the Thales Council and the Oracle Council. As long as again, market question fits into one of these tags and it passes the community review portion, once it's submitted and is not disputed, then you can create it. So sports, anything crypto related. You can even have markets built around politics and election results. Things as big and creative as pop culture can be included. There's also esports, macroeconomics. If you want to make a market on the interest rates, here's the way you do it. Also finance, if you similar type of category. And then Web3, anything specific to the world of crypto and Web3, you can create a market for it. Finally, you can kind of sort. So this is helpful if you just want to see the markets that are ending soon, or you have a lot of time left, either way. Also pool size. So this can be helpful if you want to find the markets that have the most amount of participants or just the most amount of collateral. And then you can also sort by ticket price from high to low. So then at the top here, this is the Create Markets button. We'll come back to that and I'll show you that process. But there's also a search bar. So if you want to search for a specific keyword or keywords, you can type that in here and it'll just show you the markets that meet that. A nice little helpful tool is the Get SUSD button. So anywhere within the app, you can click that button and then you can swap either ETH, DAI, USDC, USDT for SUSD, which is the main collateral used for purchasing positions as well as claiming winnings. And then there is the wallet options here. This will show you the wallet you have currently connected as well as the SUSD balance in that wallet. If you click, you can see that you can switch the wallet that's connected or you can disconnect the current wallet. And then finally, at the very bottom, once you get through all the markets on the page, you'll see the footer here. So of course, Exotic Markets is built on Thales protocol and smart contracts. So you can click here to go to Thales Market and learn about protocol or trade. And then there's a link to the Exotic Markets Twitter, a link to an invite to the Thales Discord, a link to the docs. So let me show you that. We have full docs on Gitbook. And this will go through anything you need to know about Exotic Markets. So use this video, but you can also use this Gitbook doc for all the guidelines on market creation, and then the process of finding positions, disputing markets, market resolution, and then actual, and again, walkthrough on how to trade. So hopefully this can be helpful as well. Next, we have links to video tutorials, again, such as this one, and there's another tutorial there that can help you see how to use the protocol. A link to the Exotic Markets Medium for articles on updates, and then a link to the GitHub repository. So there's the homepage, everything you need right here. So, but let's take a look at an individual market, and I'll start off with the fixed type. So you can, of course, switch by type. But if you want to see all types, you can tell the difference between a fixed market and an open market by the ticket price. So that's the difference. A fixed market has a single ticket price. If you want to buy a ticket for this market, will Elden Ring win 2022 Game of the Year? You can spend $20, and that's how you can purchase a position and be a part of this market. Now, there's also open markets, which is an open bid process. So you can enter any amount of SUSD you like. If you want to enter into this pop culture market, will Avatar 2 break the record for largest domestic opening weekend box office? Then you can, let's take a look at it. There's yes and there's no, which includes a tie, of course. And you can enter any amount you want here, as long as it's above 10 SUSD and below 1,000 SUSD. So anywhere between 10 and 1,000 SUSD can be used to purchase positions on an open bid market. So let's take a look at a fixed market and go through the whole process here. And I'll find a specific market. I want to find, so of course, an active market. And I want a fixed market first to show you guys that process. And let's find one that is specific to just sports. Well, no, let's try crypto. That's interesting. Here you can see a market with multiple categories. So that's also a possibility. And I will sort by pool size. So here's one. What NFT project will be runner-up, so number 2 for highest floor price, July 31st on CoinGecko NFT tracker. There's still, you can see 3 days and 8 hours left to purchase positions for this market. Here's a total pool size. So there's 150 SUSD collateral entered into this market, and that's across 3 different participants. And that makes sense because it's a fixed market with a price of 50 SUSD. Okay, so let's take a look at that market page. Once you click on a market, this is what you'll see. Again, this will take you back to the home page, or this. And again, you have the Get SUSD tool available here as well, which is great. The first thing you'll see here is the market question. What NFT project will be runner-up, number 2, for highest floor price at July 31st, 2022, 12 UTC per CoinGecko NFT floor tracker? So that's a lot of information, but that's necessary for a market question to be legitimate. You need to include all the different parameters and possibilities, specific date and time for a market to end, and a data source. Underneath the positions and all this other information, you'll see this button here for data source, and that is coingecko.com/en/NFT. So every market needs to have a legitimate data source, and that's where you can see that. Above the market question and to the right, this is a link to Twitter. So you can click this link and it will bring up a tweet with the market question that you can then post to your Twitter feed to share with your friends. That's a great little feature to get markets out there, especially if you've created a market and want to draw some volume. This could be a great way to bring people in. Okay, so below the market question are the different options available. When you create the market, and I'll show you this, you choose the different positions that you want to be able to select from. You can hover over this, and that'll explain kind of ROI. All that's saying is that will change as the pool changes. As someone buys one position and then buys another position, the amount of SUSD in the pool, of course, will change. And by that, also the odds, so the number of people that have purchased positions divided up by the total collateral once they win will change. So that's why it's current ROI for each position. And then you can kind of get a feel for what that payoff would be. So for Moonbirds, there's one 50 SUSD ticket that's been purchased. If I was to buy a 50 SUSD purchase position for Moonbirds, then my potential ROI would change, but it would be here. So then finally, again, you can see the remaining parameters for a market. Again, ticket price is listed. There's always going to be a bid fee and a withdrawal fee. And then there's a link to the rules for withdrawals. You can see, excuse me, I only have 26 SUSD in this wallet. I can't purchase a ticket for this position. I don't have 50 SUSD. But if I did, I could click here to purchase one of these positions once I selected it. And I have 3 days and 8 hours left to do so. Finally, if I scroll down a little bit more, here's the tag. Here's the total pool size. And again, the number of participants, which we saw on the last page. And then here's a button to dispute a market. So if I'm looking at this market and I say, this doesn't make sense, CoinGecko doesn't have an NFT floor tracker. Maybe you meant Coin Marketplace. I know that's not true, but for an example, you could then go through and click this dispute market button. That will show you how to enter dispute. So you read the question, here's a link to all the guidelines, and this is where you'd enter up to 909 characters explaining why you think this market is illegitimate and should not be open for trading. There's some information here, but it says that you need to put up 100 SUSD bond if you want to dispute a market. And the Oracle Council, which is a group of community members that are elected every 6 months for this purpose, to review disputes, they will review it, and if it's not justified, they think it's not correct, you lose that 100 SUSD bond. If you are correct and it is an illegitimate market, when the OC reviews it, they will decide, okay, we're going to cut this market, and the resolver, the disputer who put up their bond will get their bond back, and then they'll also get a reward between 30 and 100 SUSD. So that's the dispute process. And then if you scroll down more, you can see the recent activity. So this is the time and date, the type of action and position taken by other wallets for this position. So here is the first position, Moonbirds, the fixed 50 SUSD ticket. You can actually view that transaction on Optimistic Ethereum Explorer with this link. And then here's the other position. So 1, 2, 3, 150 SUSD, 3 participants. So that's what a fixed market looks like. Let's take a look at an open market, show you the difference real quick. Here's a good one. In which range will SNX, the synthetics token, be on the CoinGecko market cap coin rankings on the 31st of December, 2022, noon UTC? So all the information needed for a good, legitimate market question is there. We have 6 weeks left. There's 50 SUSD in this pool, and 3 people have participated. It's an open bid market. So take a look. And right on this one, anywhere again between 10 and 1,000, I can enter in and purchase positions here. Here's a total market. Again, data source is listed CoinGecko, like it says in the question. That's where I could dispute if I didn't agree with the parameters of this market. Here's the activity. So you can see somebody put 20 up, somebody put 20 up, and somebody put 10 up, and here's the positions that they took. So that's the difference between fixed and open markets. And I also kind of quickly showed you how to dispute a market if you don't agree with it. So what I'll do is I'll buy a quick market here to show you how to go through a full trade. Here you go. Will tether USDT peg be within 1% of USD on the 31st of December 2022 at noon UTC per CoinGecko? So plenty of time left to position. I'm going to say yes, it will. And I first have to approve SUSD for this wallet. So let's just go ahead and approve it. And all this is a transaction where your wallet is now allowing the Exotic Markets protocol to use your SUSD to purchase a position. Okay, so here's the position I picked. Yes. Let's see. Ticket price, of course, is just 10 for every position. Go ahead and purchase this position. Okay, there you go. That went through. I go back to the main homepage. See, now I was just my positions. If I click on that tab, here it is, the tether peg position. Now, again, I have 27 days and 20 hours for this market before it's locked. You can't trade it anymore. But up until then, I can reposition as often as I want to. There is a small fee for that. But if I decide no, I don't like yes, I want to go to no, I can switch it here. And at the moment, everyone is yes. So the way that works is the whole total pool, which is at 50, will be divided amongst the winners. So if it turns out to be no, and the peg is not broken exactly the way it is, nobody who bought positions will get anything. But if it does remain, and it turns out to be yes, then everybody will get 1/5 of the total pool back, which is what they paid, and that's why there's a 0% ROI. Let's say I want to kind of, test my luck here, and I'll click no. And I'll show you how the ROI will change once these pools change. I'm going to show you that you can kind of easily either withdraw if you don't want to take part in this market up until the end of the positioning phase, or you can change position, which is what I'll do right now. Great. Okay. So now you can see, let's see, I'll refresh the page so I can see how the pool and the odds have changed now that I've changed the dynamics of that market. Okay, so I have now switched my position, and you can now see that it's still 50, but there is one no at 10 SUSD, and then the rest were yeses. This was the one that I just changed. So now the odds will change for that market, and the payoff will change because the pool is now in balance. There's some collateral on the no side. Okay, so let's now take a look at what happens when a market is ready to resolve. So let's say we have hit December 31st, 2022. Actually, I'll find one that's pending. Here we go. And this is a good example. So will Ethereum merge to proof of stake? This could theoretically happen at any time. So once that happens, all you would need to do is come, and anybody can do this. It's totally decentralized. So if all of a sudden Ethereum announces they've merged to proof of stake, we're currently in July. So anyone could go here, click July 2022. And then again, you have to have 100 SUSD to put up a bond, same for disputes. And had I had that in my wallet, I could click here, and that would initiate resolution of this market. There would be a period of time where anyone could come and dispute my resolution. Let's say I just do this right now, June 2022, put up the 100 SUSD and click resolve. That's not true. So anyone could come back, put up their bond, dispute my resolution. The Oracle Council would look at their dispute, look at my resolution, realize my resolution of June 2022 in this example was wrong, and they would agree with the disputer. They would get my bond that I put up for this resolution, and they would also get a small fee, a small reward. So that's how resolution works, and I can show you once a market is resolved, that once you resolve it, there's a small period of time when anyone can dispute it, and then finally a market will be fully resolved. And in this case, if I had a position for this market, will OP token trade below $1.50 after 24 hours when it becomes tradable? If I had a yes, I could come back and I could click here and I could claim my winnings. I don't have a market or a position for this market, so there's nothing to claim. Okay, so that's the process of navigating the site, the different types of markets, fixed and open, how to purchase a position for both fixed and open markets, and then also how to withdraw or reposition up until the end of positioning. I've also kind of quickly showed you that if you disagree with the market, either the positions or the market question, anyone can come back and dispute a market by putting up that 100 SUSD bond and a reason for the dispute. And same thing with resolution. So anybody can find a market that is ready for resolution, and they can be the one that resolves it. Again, put up 100 SUSD bond, and then the community has a period of time to dispute that resolution. But once that resolution has gone through the process and has not been successfully disputed, then it is fully resolved, and anyone who has winning positions can return to that market and claim their win. So that's trading exotic markets. Now, the only other part to kind of quickly run through is how to create a market. And again, anyone can do this. It's totally open. Here's kind of a quick warning, which gives you lots of links. So you can view the tips that establish the guidelines by clicking here on the GitHub. You can also enter the Discord and chat with community. This is highly suggested just to confirm that this market hasn't already been created or hasn't already been discussed. And then finally, here's a link to the specific tip that has the guidelines for creating. So I want to make sure you understand this before you go creating markets. Click proceed. And then again, here are all those guidelines. You can read this on your own time, or you can go to the GitHub that I showed you the documentation on the Git book too. It's a lot of ways to make sure you're creating markets correctly. This is where you enter the market question. So this has to define the market, and this has to have all those elements. A complete, concise question that makes sense, a timeline for the market to end and what those possibilities could be, and a data source so that it can be verified. So this is where you'll enter the data source. You'll want to enter the full URL for the website that will post the data that can be verified to confirm the market question's results. And here's where you can enter those positions. So you want to make sure you include all the possible positions. And you can do 2, or you can add here up to, I think, let's see how many. Up to 8 positions. So 2 to 8 is your option. As you're creating a market, if you want to pick who's going to win the English Premier League, you could pick 8 teams to include, but no more. Or you could just pick 2. It's up to you. Here is when that market will officially end for positioning. So on this date and time, at that point, the market's cut off. People can no longer trade. Here is the fixed or open type you can select. If you pick fixed, you have to enter that ticket price. So again, it's a single price per position. If it's open, you don't need to do that. You can decide if the market allows withdrawals. So I can turn that off and say once you buy a position, you can't switch it for another position. And then finally, here's tags. You have to pick at least one, but again, you can pick multiple if you want. And then as part of creating a market, you have to pick up initial position so that there is at least some collateral in the pool. And this shows you that you will earn 1% of every bid, every cost for a position that anyone takes place in your market. You'll get 1% of that. And then if you allow withdrawals, you'll also get 3% of the withdrawal fees. But again, you have to put up 100 SUSD bond. You have to take an initial position. And once you create this market, if someone disputes it because you've gotten some of these guidelines wrong, you'll lose that 100 SUSD bond. All right, so then once you make a market, it'll show up here and it's ready to be reviewed and potentially traded. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope that made sense. But again, if you need a refresher, you can go to the Exotic Markets homepage, and at the bottom, there's a ton of resources. One of the best ones is just enter the Discord and chat with the community. They're very happy to discuss the project and any questions you can have. You can also go to the Git book and view the docs, which gives you an explanation of the guidelines and the protocol itself, but also has a walkthrough similar to what we just went through. And then again, if you need more video tutorials, you can click here to view it. So just remember, exotic markets is basically limited by your creativity. If you can create a market that meets the guidelines, has a verifiable data source, fits one of these categories, you can create it and then collect some of the fees for all the volume that gets traded. So if you were looking for a trading experience that isn't limited, that is basically relies on your creativity and the fun you want to have, then make sure you check out Exotic Markets.